Bengals training camp winners and losers coming at you guys on today's show. The Bengals are off today. The pads have already gone on, so it's a great time for a look at some early camp winners and losers for Cincinnati. We're going to begin with Joseph Ossai. Trey Hendrickson a bit banged up right now, and it's Ossai more so than even Myles Murphy, who has emerged as a potential bigger impact piece and maybe a breakout season for the Bengals' young edge rusher. He's finally healthy. He's battled so many injuries over the course of his young career, and there is a very real possibility that the breakout season finally arrives for Ossai. Here's what defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo said about the former Texas product. Quote, "He's as healthy as he's been. That's huge. If he continues down that road, he is showing some good things here." Hendrickson has been a bit banged up right now. Sam Hubbard is there. Myles Murphy is still kind of working behind Ossai right now, despite being a first-round pick. There will still be room for him, but very promising early results so far in training camp for Ossai. Now, we are 36 subs away from 3,500. If we don't get there, then there definitely will not be any Bengals preseason watch parties. Have our fingers crossed for a Week 2 game, but we need your help. Hit that sub button for more free Bengals videos all throughout camp, preseason, and the regular season. Cam Taylor-Britt is next up, the corner with Chidobe Awuzie banged up and still recovering from his torn ACL. Bengals correctly taking things slow there. It means that CTB is the number one corner for the Bengals right now, which is only a positive thing. It's not like he's getting absolutely worked and looks like he's not a football player anymore, but he's getting consistent reps at times against Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins. And spoiler alert, those are some of the best receivers Cam Taylor-Britt will play all year. It's an iron sharpens iron thing for the Bengals, and Taylor-Britt has made enough plays to feel confident about where he sits entering his second season. Now, historically, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo does not play very many rookies. That's not really his thing. He prefers veteran players. Well, Britt had to play a lot last year, in part because of the injury to guys like Chidobe Awuzie. The numbers were okay. Not the best, but certainly not bad either. And that was his rookie season. He should be even better entering year 2. So what is your confidence level then in Cam Taylor-Britt as an undisputed starter right now for the Bengals at corner with, guys like Eli Apple not back? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. It's 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. It's going to be today's pinned comment. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. DJ Turner next up. We'll stick with our corners here. Overall, I'm quite pleased with the way this young cornerback room has emerged. Allen George, Sidney Jones, DJ Ivey, all showing some flashes there. But it certainly seems like the second-round pick, DJ Turner, over Myles Murphy, over Jordan Battle, has been the best rookie so far in training camp. He does face a trickier path to a role because there's Awuzie, Taylor-Britt, and Mike Hilton kind of plugged in at the 3 corner spots. But Turner has made some nice plays. Here's again what Bengals DC Lou Anarumo had to say on Turner. Quote, "He's a guy that can wake up at 5:30 and cover." What a line by Lou, by the way. That's what we saw when we evaluated him coming in the draft. I really love his confidence to be in position and be able to look back and try to attack the ball. Getting your head around matters for a corner. I like what I've seen from Turner so far. Excited about him moving forward. All right, time for an offensive player. How about Trenton Irwin? Charlie Jones and my boy Andre Yoshivas, the rookies from Purdue and Princeton, respectively, did flash during minicamp OTAs. Maybe not quite to the same level right now. And I get the vibe that Irwin is the favorite to be wide receiver for a team that could very easily carry 6 wide receivers this year. That'd be, of course, Ja'Marr Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Jones is not going anywhere. As a 6th-round pick, Yoshivas isn't guaranteed a roster spot, but I think he has a pretty good shot of making the Bengals roster this year. Irwin, I think, is very much ahead of guys like Stanley Morgan, Trent Taylor, etc. in that veteran option for the other wide receiver position. Now, speaking of Ja'Marr Chase, there are these awesome, you guys remember NBA Jam? Well, they got NFL Jam t-shirts, our friends over at Fanatics do, for Joe Burrow and for Ja'Marr Chase. I think these are awesome. I bought one of these already myself. Get yours today at chatsports.com/BengalsJam. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. By the way, they are currently on sale for a limited time. Not that many supplies left, so go get yours today. chatsports.com/BengalsJam. Back to defense. As I look at my list, we did go defense heavy here. That's fine. We went a little bit heavier offense for the losers, unfortunately. It's kind of how things go sometimes. Nick Scott. He is working ahead of Jordan Battle right now after Scott had missed minicamp and OTAs for the Bengals. So I'll call it the national media interest in could Nick Scott not win the job? Well, certainly seems like he's going to be the starter alongside Daxton Hill. Here's once again what our favorite defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, had to say on Nick Scott. Quote, Nick has done a great job with him continuing to build our rapport and talking to each other and teaching him how to be a pro, referencing Daxton Hill. Dax is putting in the extra work, that's for sure. I like the veteran presence of Scott. I think he'll be a nice player for now for the Bengals. How about offensive lineman Jackson Carman? Now, this is not to say that I think Carman is going to surprise everybody and beat out Jonah Williams for the starting role at right tackle. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that Carman's fared better. He's looked a little bit more confident and comfortable at the right tackle spot. After a very rough start to his NFL career, seems like Carman is finally settling in a little bit. Sometimes it takes players longer. Even if he's just a backup offensive lineman, if Carman can be better than what he's been so far, that's a big boost for the Bengals offensive line. Of all the Bengals training camp winners so far, who do you think is the biggest one? Maybe it's a player we haven't even mentioned yet. Go vote for me in the comments section. Quarterback Jake Browning. Now, this might change in a week since Browning, for now, has been the one to get the crack and the reps and the chances with the first team starters with Joe Burrow out, who, we'll get to in the losers category, unfortunately. That will change. Trevor Siemian, the other veteran quarterback, not including Reed Sinnett, is going to get some run with the Bengals Thursday, Friday, but they gave Browning the first crack at it. Maybe that means something, or maybe it doesn't, that this will be a battle that goes on from now all the way through the preseason, or at least the first few games of the preseason. So pick a backup quarterback, the youngster, Jake Browning, or the veteran, Trevor Siemian. JB for Jake Browning, TS for Trevor Siemian. Go vote for me. Where else but the comment section? Surprised myself by putting a punter on this list. That is Brad Robbins. Now, I do actually feel kind of bad putting him on here. The reason why he's on here is because of Drew Chrisman's medical scare with Chrisman now back in the locker room, back with the team. Sounds like he's okay, but it did put him behind the 8 ball in a battle that Robbins was probably always going to be able to win from that perspective. So we'll keep an eye on the punter battle. I'm very glad that Drew Chrisman is okay. That was a very scary situation. And that's actually his photo, by the way, just to keep things in mind. I'm glad he's okay. That actually makes him a winner, by the way, that he's fine. But I do think he faces a tricky path to making the Bengals roster, and Robbins has the advantage there. All right, training camp losers time. Unfortunately, Joe Burrow belongs on this list. Look, in life, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you get hurt. Unfortunately for Burrow, it's another injury that will impact his training camp and preseason time. Calf strain should not sideline him for the year. He should be okay before week 1, but you're probably not going to see him get many, if any, reps in camp, and we won't see him in the preseason. I'm glad he's fine. That's not going to impact him too much. Like Joe Burrow, doesn't need reps with Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. But the one player who was also a loser because of the Joe Burrow injury is Irv Smith, the tight end addition from the Minnesota Vikings this offseason. I'm not saying Irv Smith has been bad or anything. Most of his reviews have been pretty positive so far in practice, but he would have liked to have had more reps with Joe Burrow at training camp. That would have been valuable for those two to help build their chemistry as they move forward. So it's not the end of the world, but as far as the negative impact goes in camp, I think it's actually worth mentioning Irv Smith, which we had not done previously. Wanted to make sure we did today. Of the losers so far then, Who is the biggest? Maybe it's Burrow because of the injuries. Maybe it's Irvin. Maybe it's somebody else not on this list we're about to get into. Go vote for me in the comment section right now. We'll go back to injuries here. Travion Williams, who suffered an ankle injury on Tuesday I was pretty sure it was Tuesday, at that practice. He's going to miss a few weeks with that ankle injury that he suffered. Now, shouldn't necessarily be an issue for week 1, but it does open the door for a Chase Brown. It does help open the door for even a Chris Evans, who has not, gotten that many much hype around him entering this year. Williams was supposed to be the backup to Joe Mixon. The Bengals are trying to replace Samaje Perine. They were looking for someone to fill that role. Williams, I still think, is, by the way, the favorite. But this does put him in a bit of a trickier spot, and it at least opens the door for a Chase Brown to steal that spot, or Chris Evans, or somebody else. So we'll see if it happens, but it just does kind of suck for Williams. It's all offense today, actually, as we wrap up with Cody Ford, the offensive guard. I'm not feeling great about his chances to make the roster. Wasn't that high on it in the first place. He wasn't given a big contract from a guaranteed perspective. He's not getting as many reps as others are in terms of the premium reps with the ones, even some of the twos. So, look, Lyle Collins has been banged up. Jonah Williams, Carmen rotating in at the right side. Volson Sharping at the left side. I don't really know how Ford, unless he really impresses later on in the preseason, I think Ford has a tough time to make the 53-man roster. He hasn't been that good in his time in the NFL anyway, so pretty easily for me putting Ford on this list. Would like to be proven wrong. Always brings better offensive line depth if that happens, but expectations are low right now from me.